Mad Smart, and welcome to this next tutorial, the Warner Brothers tutorial. Alright then, let's just get started. First thing, new composition, and call it what you like. We're going to call it Warner Intro, that'll do. Leave those settings as they are, doesn't really matter. 23, that'll do, that's fine. Press OK. Okay, there we go. So what we've got is a PNG of the Warner Brothers logo. I'll attach that to the project file, so that'll be in there as well. So just a PNG, standard flat PNG. What we're going to do with that is we're going to create masks. So if we go to Auto Trace and set that as they are, so no blur, tolerance at 1, threshold 50, press OK, and that will give you the masks. So we can then delete the Warner Brothers logo, and there's our masks. We'll probably want to rename that, I guess, to whatever. Warner Brothers logo, that'll do. Great. Alright, then we turn that off. Next, we want to create a new solid. This is our element layer. So we'll just call that element. Leave the settings as they are, press OK. Then we go to our effects and video copilot element. Brilliant. And what we want to do now is we go to our custom layers, custom text and masks. And we want to select the Warner Brothers logo masks that we just created, which is down there. Scene setup. And all we need to do now is press the extrude button, and there it is, done. Brilliant. Now once you've got this, you can pretty much play with however the look you want. So what we've got here is some bevels that are built into elements. So pick one that you like, doesn't really matter. Warner Brothers change their logos all the time, so see, they create some nice effects there. Let's see, a red one. That's pretty good. Yeah, I quite like that. So there are the actual textures within there that it's using. So we can go ahead and individually change those if we want to. So for example, the shiny light at the front is the first one we see, so we can go into our metal textures here, drag that on, and then we get a kind of nice metal texture in there. And what we're going to do as well is we just up the UV repeats on these just to make it a little bit more detailed. You can go as far as you want with that, but not too far, otherwise you start getting some repetitions. So let's do the same thing with the inner shiny light, same thing, metal. So that's there. Again, you don't have to do that. Anything you like. You can make it green, blue, red, pink, doesn't matter. But for this, we're going to use a kind of metal texture. Next, we're going to go to our environments. I'm going to select something quite dark but high contrasty, just to give an extra bit of contrast to our actual scene, like that. Pretty nice. All right, press OK. There it is. And then we're going to create a new camera. Leave those settings as they are. That's fine. And that's done. Lovely. Just rotate that around. Looks good. So let's go to our render settings, physical environment, and up the exposure a little bit, just to get a little bit more light on there. And then we can go to our environment and just rotate that around to something nice. Personal preference, something like that might be nice. Yeah. And inside lighting, we've got these presets in the add lighting section. So that's warm, sun. They're very subtle. You don't have to use these either. Let's have a look at here. Cinema. So you can just see there's a little bit of highlighting, and you can up the actual multiplier. There you go. So we've got some red and some blue. It's pretty nice. Aqua, very blue. I like that. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. What else? Sorry, natural. Yeah. Again, you just keep playing with all this stuff. Red. I wonder if that's going to make it red. Huh? It's a dramatic. Very dramatic. Not so much. But anyway, that's fine. We'll probably leave it at that. Bit of gold, bit of metal. Perfect. Well, let's go back to our scene setup. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the little ring that goes around the Warner Brothers logo. So if we go to our cylinder, and we can just rotate that 90 degrees. No, we don't need to rotate it actually. Just scale it out. Something like that. We're completely eyeballing this. Just change the radius. We've got a whole load of settings in here that we can actually adjust. So our segments, and all that sort of things there. Sides, radius. So we'll just scale that down a little bit as well. So adjust these things here. Nice. There we are. Don't really need to do that, but I am fiddling. Wonderful. So just squash that down. And like I said, we're just eyeballing this. It's far too big at the moment, so probably doesn't need to be that high res either. Maybe a bit thinner. Yeah, probably a little bit big actually. Smaller. And go to the sides. Scrunch that up. Yeah, so it's nice and smooth. Put that back to shaded. So there we go, nice ring. Far too big. Let's move it up a little bit. Oh, not sideways. That's it. Whoops. Let's rotate that up. There we are, slightly. Scale it in. Get back a little bit. And a little bit up. And we probably want to give that the same texture as well as the metal. Or something similar. Just move that down. There we are. Move forward a little bit. Great. Alright. So yeah, let's get a similar texture from our metal. And these are from Pro Shaders, which if you don't have, don't worry, you can create something similar just from the built-in shaders anyway. If you do, perfect, there we are. So that looks quite wide. The look is good, but it does look a little bit wide. Okay, so let's go back to our scene setup. Our scale tool, scale that in a little bit. Okay, better. Maybe it needs to be just a little bit higher, a little bit thicker. That's a bit better. Yeah, alright, that'll do for now. So now we're going to do our copy, and this is procedural, so we can type anything we want. Once we get the alignment right, we can just change the copy to whatever we like. So, whatever we like, we can probably type whatever, there we are, whatever I like. There we go. So that's going to be our text that goes on the front of that ring. Now, doesn't matter what font you use. Let's see, something that might work. Yeah, Edge Racer is always a good one. Let's see. Again, it doesn't really matter. That'll do. Okay. Put that to the bottom. Turn the layer off. We don't need to see it. Actually, yeah, turn that off. And then in our element layer, if we go to Path Layer 2, we can select whatever I like. Scene Setup. So what we want to do now is just close that group folder, and we want to create another group folder. So click the little group folder, drag that right to the bottom, and select Group 2 on that. Then we can extrude, and again we get the Warner logo, but that's fine. What we want to do is come down to Custom Path and select Custom Path 2, and that will switch it over to the text, whatever I like. Okay, there it is, sitting in the middle, perfect. Not what we want, but it's there. So let's come back here and maybe just move it forward a little bit in the actual scene. So it's sitting there, pretty good. Nice. Okay, so there's a few things we need to do to get it sitting on that ring. Again, this can be fiddly, but we'll get there. So let's give it a nice texture. Probably similar, that'll do. Drag that on. Okay, there we are. Perfect. Back to our scene setup. What else do we need to do? Let's just move it forward a little bit more. Okay. Yeah. So also we need to give it a little bit of a bend. So there it is there. Come down to our particle look, and in there you'll see deform. Make sure that's checked. And go to bend and make sure that's checked. And then on the actual y-axis we can bend that and change the actual bend direction, so it's about 90 degrees ish, and that'll bend it backwards just like that. So this is where we have to fiddle around with it a little bit, get the look what we want, whatever I like. Okay, we'll just rotate that, not that direction or that direction, up. There we go. So that sits there, and we're just going to have to move that forward a little bit. So that'll thicken it up by doing that. So if we look behind, there it is, sitting nicely. So if we just push it forward again in the scene, and then we can see it straight through. So it's not quite the angle we want, so we just adjust the bend direction there a little bit. So, and maybe if we just back to our scene. Maybe just push it down. Whoops, that went up. Undo that. Maybe we can try it here in the Y, push that down. Getting there, getting there. Let's see, I'll rotate that back a little bit. Pull it down, rotate down on the X. Again, like I said, just fiddle around. I'm making a hash of all this, but as long as you get the look you want, it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't stress too much. With a bit more bend maybe, stretch it around. That's it, that feels a bit better actually. That does feel a bit better, just put that at the right angle. There you go. Actually, no, whatever. So, whatever I like, just push that back. More bend. This is an exercise in fiddling, getting it wrong, fiddling, and then getting it wrong. Just push that forward. That's it. Perfect. I'm happy. Almost. Okay. There we go. So, next thing we're going to do is we're going to probably get this camera sorted out. So we create a new null, and what we're going to do is we're going to parent that camera to the null. So if you whip that in straight to the null, and that null will now control the camera. So let's make the null a 3D layer. We're clicking that little text box there, checkbox even. Push it back into Z, wherever, however far you like it. I'm going to go about there, just to match that Harry Potter Warner intro. Move the actual timeline forward. I'm going to crank it forward right past the camera. A bit further. Excuse me, a bit further. Maybe not so much. Well, that will probably do. Let's just run that through. Fine. Okay. Excuse me again. Right, let's go down to our render settings and see if we can make this look good. So, let's see, where are we at? Render settings, ambient occlusion, switch that on and crank up the intensity so you get a nice sort of dark and light contrast in there. So the geometry that's sitting close is darker and then not too far away. So then we've got the rotation environment, and we're going to actually key that or put a little expression on that. So if you Alt click that stopwatch, you'll get a little thing that says type here, and we're going to type times time 100. Looking at that, that's pretty fast. So maybe if we go back to that, maybe 30. Okay, 30. See how that runs. So you can see the actual light passing across the front there. That looks a bit better. We're getting away with this. Very good. There we go. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, I think the timing's right on that. So what we've got here, we can actually see the ring behind that logo. So if we go back to our scene setup, we're going to put a little cover in there just to stop us seeing that. So it appears to fade into black. So we create a plane. Here it is. And we just want to maneuver that plane into position behind the logo. Just push it back. Yeah. My mouse is really rubbish today. Yeah, put that. There we go. Stretch it out a little bit. Squash it down. Squash it up again. There we go. Okay, so now we need to go into our material settings, and we'll go to the basic settings. Lower the diffuse right down to black. And what else do we want to do? We don't need that. Illumination, that's fine. Refraction, reflectivity, let's put the reflectivity down to black as well, can't hurt. And the glossiness, put that down to 0%, and the ambient as well. So there we go. Now it's black, so you can't really see it. It's giving it a nice bit of shadow, luckily enough. So as the camera comes through, it fades out nicely, and we don't see the ring behind it. Okay, next thing, we're going to create a new solid. And this is just a fade in, so put the opacity to 100 at frame 1, move along and then lower it down, maybe a second or 2 seconds, whatever feels normal to you, maybe a bit further. There we go, so it just fades up. There we go. And like I said earlier, the the project file will have all this stuff in there, and you can change that text to whatever you like. So again, you can change all your materials, all sorts of things, whatever you like. Knock yourself out. Okay, so we'll just build that forward. It's coming in, quickly. Alright. So, like I said, let's just change some materials, see what we look. I'm just playing around now. Oh, bronze-ish. Not bad. Maybe if we take it to... That's okay. It's kind of... It's alright. I prefer the metal one. Maybe a bit boring. Maybe if we try something a little bit more bling. Let's see what we got down here. Red, gold. Red, gold. Maybe gold. Let's put that in there. Get it on. There we are. And we're going to the main one too. Gold. Gold. Can't go wrong with a bit of gold now. Marvellous. Put the exposure up a little bit. Why not? Still looking good. Ish. I mean, I guess that's subjective. Maybe it's crap. Who knows? But anyway, there we are, guys. There is the Warner Brothers logo tutorial in After Effects, especially for Janus project. Thanks for that, fella. I hope you're good, and I'll catch you next time.